Somebody shout, God did it. Nobody walked up and said, you got a head like a preacher. Nobody walked up and said, you look like a preacher. No, you better let God set you. Don't let people set you, because people will put you in places that you don't have the gifting to stay. God set some in the church. First, what? Apostles. Secondarily, what? Prophets. Thirdly, what? Teachers. After that came what? Stop. You missed a good place to shout. Say apostles. Say prophets. Say teachers. Say then the miracles came. So if the apostles were not in that place, if the prophets were not in that place, if the teachers were not in that place, you could never get miracles. If Joshua did not put the priests bearing the ark and the priests bearing the trumpets and the soldiers in their proper place, he could have never got the miracle of the walls come tumbling down. He said, after you get miracles, you got gifts of healing, you got helps, that's the deacons, that's the ushers, that's the armor bearers, helps. Then you got government, you got administration, then you got diverses, all different types of tongues, non-tongues and unknown tongues. He said, you got to get people in their place. If you get people in their place, he says, it won't be hard for the walls to fall down. If you can get order in your house, then blessings will begin to overflow in your house. Y'all ain't gonna let me preach. But the man got to be the head of the house, as God has called him to be, lined up with God. Then the woman has to submit to the God that's in the man. And then the children have to submit to the God that's in both the parents. When God sees order, he will bless a place. Told him at 8 o'clock, and I think I'll tell you, I got frustrated the other day. You know, your pastor on a diet. Pray about it. If you think about it, I'm on a diet. I was so hungry. I saw this candy machine, and I saw this Snickers. And the price of the Snickers, you ain't gonna believe it, was $1.50. You can get a whole box of Now-Laters. Put my dollar in there, put my 50 cent, E2. Stood back waiting on my Snickers. Nothing happened. Your pastor, Olivet Baptist Church, 5 services a Sunday, 2 locations. Get my stuff. Give me my Snickers. And then I looked on the side, and there was a little sign. Said out of order. Which means I don't care how much money you put in it. I don't care how hard you kick it and hit it. I don't care how bad you want it. If it's out of order, you're not going to get your Snickers. I'm here to preach to about 2,000 folk in this church and tell you that you're not going to get your healing. You're not going to get your breakthrough. You're not going to get your deliverance until you come into order. Hit your neighbor, tell them, if you want your Snickers, get in order. If the church wants to see miracles, I'm talking about the dead being raised. I'm talking about blind eyes being opened. I'm talking about the lame getting up and walk. I'm talking about limbs that have been cut off being restored. Then the church has to get in order. These young men and women out there killing one another in the street. We got to be in order to walk in kingdom authority. And when we speak to them in order, it will be as God speaking. Good word? Cool, you know what he said? He said, I need the priest with the ram's horn to make a long sound. Wait a minute. He said, and blow that bad boy. And he said, when you blow it, then the folks shout. And then he says, then the wall's gonna come tumbling down. And then you're gonna ascend on top of the walls. You just missed a good place to shout. The rocks are gonna fall down. The walls are gonna come down. But then that's gonna become your stepping stone. And you're gonna step on top of the flat walls and ascend and go get your promise. Why blow the ram's horn? I'm glad you asked, because you don't know what's about to happen in here. In Leviticus 25, when the ram's horn was sounded, it was Jubilee. It was the 50th year, which means if anybody had taken your land, it was restored back to you. If you had been in bondage to anybody, you were free. All your debts were canceled. Everything was restored back to you. And that's why the walls had to come tumbling down, because God promised Abraham in Genesis 15 and 16 that in the 4th generation, 400 years, your children, your seed is going to get the land back. They're going to get it back because I'm going to give you power to kick the enemy off. I need to preach and tell somebody in here that the enemy is on your stuff. I feel like preaching to somebody. The enemy has been trying to wear you out, but the devil is a liar, and his mother-in-law is too. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, get ready, because you're getting ready to get your stuff back. You're getting ready to get land back that your grandmama lost. You're getting ready to get land that your great-great-grandfather lost. You're getting ready to get your marriage back. You're getting ready to get your child back. But when you hear the trumpet sound, he says, then you got to shout. He said the trumpet will be the confirmation that it's time for you to shout. He says, and then when you start shouting, I'm going to start giving your stuff back. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's a good time for you to scoot over. I'm getting ready to get my stuff back. Say, when they sound that horn, it's a ram's horn, which means something had to die in order for me to get what I'm about to receive. Jesus is the Lamb that died one Friday, but got up one Sunday, and he died so I could get my stuff back. On the count of 3, when he blows this horn, I want you to go to shout it like you getting ready to get back. No, like you've already received back everything that you lost. Now shake your neighbor's hand like you're going to shake it off and say, neighbor, get your health back. Get your mind back. Get your kids back. Get your marriage back. Get your house back. Get your car back. Get your self-esteem back. Get your reputation back. Get your joy back. Get your peace back. Get your praise back. Get your worship back. I got a feeling that everything is going to be all right. Shake somebody's hand like you're going to shake it off and say, neighbor, I'm getting my stuff back. I feel like preaching. I feel like blessing his name. Somebody need to shout. You've been down long enough. Shout. We're getting back. We're getting ready to get our sons and daughters back. We're getting them out of the gangs, and they coming in the church. I speak life and not death. I speak that you shall not die, but you shall live to declare the works of the Lord. Shake your neighbor's hand like you're going to shake it off and say, neighbor, there's some stuff that's on the way. God been holding it for you, but you need to walk around and shout, 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 shout. You ain't shouting. Shout, 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 shout.